This is the Mitsubishi ASX, the new generation version, which has been a long time coming, and this is a very impressive car, but oh, gee whiz. Have they put the prices up too high? I think they might have. It is a far more expensive small SUV than before, but also far better in a lot of ways. I'll talk you through it in this review. Please subscribe and ring the bell if you haven't already. Let's check it out. ASX time, finally. The new generation Mitsubishi ASX is not a real Mitsubishi. In fact, it's a Renault Captur that's been rebranded to be a Mitsubishi for our market, but it still has a number of really good ownership perks, which I'll talk to you about later on in this review. And hey, you might be able to overlook the fact that it is a French SUV that just happens to be Japanese branded. Now, the other thing about that is that, well, the prices are significantly higher than they were before. We're talking a more than 50% jump to get into a Mitsubishi ASX compared to the previous version. So the price might rule it out straight off the bat, and I could understand if it did. It's also smaller than before, but there are 3 different turbo petrol models in this lineup, and it kicks off with the entry-level LS, which does have, well, a more basic look to it. It's got different looking wheels, but it's still got LED lighting around the car. You still get the proximity keyless entry, so it'll unlock as you walk up to the car, which is great, very handy. And on the inside, it has cloth seat trim, manual seat adjustment, a regular mirror, not an auto dimming one, and it's also got a smaller digital instrument cluster in front of the driver, but it still has a 10.4-inch touchscreen media system with wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Up from there is the mid-spec model, the Aspire, which does add a few extra features, including inbuilt Google tech for that 10.4-inch screen, so you've got sat-nav on that one, and it gets a few other features as well, including a full 10-inch digital instrument cluster, an auto-dimming rear vision mirror, electric folding side mirrors. It gets different looking cloth seat trim, height adjustable driver and passenger seat, which you don't get in the base grade, a heated steering wheel but not heated seats, different looking interior bits, and on the outside it looks a little bit different too because it's got 18-inch alloy wheels and privacy glass. And then there's this one here, which is the top spec Exceed. The price for it is exceeding what I expected it to be, that's for sure. You'll see it on your screen now, but it does add a few extra features, including a panoramic sunroof. There's the option of 2-tone exterior paint in a few different colors. You get a different auto-dimming rearview mirror again, but you also get leather seat trim, heated front seats, and power driver seat adjustment. But there are still a few things missing from this high-grade version. You don't get an electric tailgate, which could be a bit annoying for those who are looking for that kind of technology in their $40-something thousand small SUV. But hey, I've got some alternatives that you might want to consider if you are looking for a small SUV and you're not necessarily looking at this as your number one choice. A great small SUV option to check out is the Hyundai Kona. It has seen some updates to the range, but there's heaps of different versions available, including hybrid powertrains readily available. You can't get a hybrid in any version of the ASX, and it is a pretty nice thing to drive. It does have a few annoying safety features, but I do think that the size and the usability of the Kona could make it stand out compared to some of the rivals out there. Another great option if you are looking for a Japanese branded SUV is the Honda HR-V. Its biggest drawback is that it's only got 4 seats, but it is otherwise a practical, comfortable, likable SUV with petrol or hybrid powertrain options available. And who would have thought that Mitsubishi would make Honda look like it's offering a cheap SUV compared to it? Hey, times have changed, haven't they? And another car that you might want to check out if you are looking for a really budget-friendly small SUV is the MG ZS, the turbo one in particular. It's about $31,990 drive away, so the price is right, baby. And it does have the option of a conditional 10-year warranty, just like this Mitsubishi, but it's also got a very spacious cabin, lots and lots of standard spec and tech, and it drives pretty well as well, so it could be worth a look if you are looking to save a little bit of cash. What would you do? Choose any of those or something else? Have your say in the comments. The ASX has always been the small SUV in the Mitsubishi lineup, and this new look version is even smaller than before. It's shorter nose to tail on a shorter wheelbase as well, and that means that, well, it's going to be more city friendly, more urban friendly, more car park friendly, but it might not necessarily be as passenger friendly, as I'll show you shortly. The previous one was based on the same platform as the Outlander bigger SUV. This one is, as I said, a Renault reskinned, the Captur, and it's certainly Eurocentric with its dimensions. Now, it does still have pretty good ground clearance, 169 millimeters, and I do think that these wheels look very SUV-ish, very chunky, and I really quite like the design with the black roof too. I'd love to know what you think. It's got a really clever feature as well. All versions come with proximity keyless unlocking, so you don't even need to touch the door handle. If you've got your hands full, it will unlock for you as you walk up to the car. And then you've got this rear end design, which is certainly very Renault-ish and not very Mitsubishi-ish, even though it does have the big Mitsubishi text emblazoned on the back. I don't love the fact that the rear view camera sort of pops out there. I don't know why they couldn't have just put it lower, but that's just how it is, people. Now, let's have a look in the boot and see what the space is like. Now, the existing ASX has been a pretty practical SUV for family buyers. This one, maybe not as practical at first glance. Let's have a look in the boot here though, because there are some tricks. So, first and foremost, let's look at these. You've got some shopping bag hooks, you've got lights, you've got little sections on the side where you'll be able to fit wider objects than you might be thinking. You've also got another shopping bag hook over there and a cargo cover on all grades. But this dual floor section does make for some pretty interesting considerations, because it does allow you to lower the floor down and give yourself much more boot space. Have a look at that. And you'll see the cargo figure on your screen. That is as good as some mid-size SUVs. In fact, better than some of the mid-size SUVs that cost similar money. So that might be worth considering if you're just looking for a smaller footprint. But you need to also consider this, people, because no version of this car comes with a spare wheel, despite the fact that it's basically just got a tyre repair kit set up on a plinth where the spare wheel should go. I'm really disappointed that there is no spare. There's room for it. I'd love to know what you think about the spare situation and the boot situation, so have your say in the comments. But now it's time to jump into the cabin and see what it's like. Okay, let's have a look at the interior of this new ASX, and it doesn't look like the old ASX at all. In fact, it doesn't look like any other Mitsubishi at all in here because, as I said, it's a Renault reskinned. Now, that means that you do have French controls, people. So the steering wheel controls could be an issue for some people because you've got some cruise controls on this side. You've got some phone and media style controls on this side. But then you've got that little stalk right there with volume controls. It's even got a little dial on the back of it, as you can see. That will take some getting used to. If you're not used to French cars, that will be a problem, I would think. And then you've also got the back to fronty indicator and lights and wipers situation. So indicator and lights on that side, wipers on the other side. But look, those controls, I reckon you'll get used to them. And then there's the 10-inch screen in the higher grade versions, which does have a level of configurability to it, so you can jump through different display looks and even have your Google Maps up on there. If you're using the nav system, you can use Google Maps and it'll show you up on the screen there what you're doing. Use that control to jump through the screen. It is a very nice little piece of technology, and the fact that you can configure things to make it how you want it to be is a nice touch compared to the old ASX, which didn't have any level of tech like that. In the base grade, you get a smaller screen with, well, some digitization, but it's not quite as high tech as that. And then there's this screen here, this touchscreen media system. It's got the old portrait style layout, which is kind of cool, I think, because even though it does sort of poke out of the dashboard somewhat, I think that it is pretty easy to get your head around this screen. It is, again, Renault design, so it is not necessarily confusing in any particular way, but it does take a little bit of learning. So you do have, proudly, the Apple CarPlay button up there. It's wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. And then if you don't want to use that, you can use the built-in Google stuff, because it does have built-in Google in the higher grade versions. There's News, there's Google Assistant, and you can also go in here and go to the Play Store and add apps if you want to. You can have your calendar sync to the car if you want that as well. And look, speaking of the car, there are a number of menus that you can go through on the screen here for the car. You can put it between the different drive modes. You can configure different things on board for your drive modes. It's nice that it has a bit of graphic I guess, identity there, so that's cool. And then you've got my driving score, so you can see how badly you've been driving. You can also go in here to your driver assistance functions, and there's one little one just here that you might want to play with. That is Perso. Now, My Safety Perso allows you to basically choose what you want the safety systems to do, and at the touch of that button right there, you tap that on when you get back into the car, and it will either be on or My Safety Perso. Now that is very good because it means you don't have to go through screens upon screens in order to switch some of the stuff off. So I like the fact that you've got that as a quick control, because some other cars in this segment aren't as simple to live with. There's other settings, of course, that you can see what's going on around the car. You can turn off certain sensors if you want to. And I do reckon that this is a very, very good bit of technology once you're used to it. And I've gotten used to it really quickly, so you will too, I'm sure. But yeah, there's also regular controls down below here. As you can see, you've got a fan toggle switch. You've also got temperature controls, and you'll also find on the screen here in the high grade versions, you get your seat heating and steering wheel heating controls there. It's not dual zone climate control, just single zone, which might be an issue for some, especially if they have a partner who doesn't like the same temperature that they do. Now, you'll also find down here your hazard lights and a lock button, so you can quickly lock things or unlock them for your passengers. Under there, you'll notice you've got a nice little shelf. It's a bit too small for a phone, and down here there's more storage, including some USB-C ports and a 12 volt and another little padded section there where you might be able to store things that might otherwise slide around. And down here, you'll find a wireless phone charger, which is great to see because it's a nice spot for it too, because it makes your phone out of sight, out of mind if you choose a high grade version, which comes with this floating center console area. And then you've got another little spot here which you might want to store your smart key. If it doesn't have the plastic, it fits there better. You've got a pair of cup holders and a very dinky little center console area. In the doors, there are reasonably large pockets. You've got a good sized glove box for a French car. I mean, French by way of Japan car. And then above, you'll find you've got decent illuminated vanity mirrors. Yep, there are lights up there, and they don't extend out. So yeah, those sun visors might not be ideal for afternoon drives. And then you've got the high grade version with the sunroof, and you can adjust the sunroof and open it in stages by using that little control knob there. So I reckon you'll get used to all these controls pretty quickly. Auto dimming rear vision mirror as well in the higher grades. And for the most part, I really do think that this is a lovely feeling cabin. It does have a nice finish to the seats in this particular high grade version with the leathery finishing, but still only manual seat adjustment for the passenger and not as much adjustment for the driver as you might be hoping for. But yeah, I reckon it's pretty good. It's not perfect, but pretty good. Now let's check out the back seat space and see if it's good or not. Right, it is tight, I would say, for a little SUV. I mean, it feels pretty little in the back. The space between my knees and my 6 foot driving position, well, they're up against it there. I do have a good amount of foot wiggle room, which is good. Headroom, not too bad, but anyone 6'2" or taller might not fit back here. There are some missing items as well. No grab handles. You do have lights up here, as you can see. That's pretty handy. And also you do get things like these directional air vents and USB-C ports and a 12 volt down there. So that's a nice bonus. You get mesh mat pockets, decent bottle holders in the doors there. And the doors themselves, well, they have a, well, hard finish up the top, soft elbow pads. And then you've got ISOFIX points in the window seats, 3 top tethers as well, no flip down armrest, no cup holders. So it is on the basic side, and it's also a little bit cramped. Like, look at that. That would be a comfort position for someone tall and an uncomfort position for someone behind them. So yeah, going to be suited more to couples than families, I would suggest, for this one. There's a big change under the bonnet of the new generation ASX, and yes, it does come by way of this Renault 1.3 litre 4-cylinder turbo petrol engine, which has a decent amount of power and significantly more torque than before. 113 kilowatts, 270 newton meters, which is a lot for a little SUV like this. And it has a peculiar transmission for the Mitsubishi range, a 7-speed dual clutch automatic with front wheel drive only. There is no all-wheel drive version available of the ASX, which there was in the previous one. And look, when it comes to towing capacity, it does have the capability to tow a little bit. You'll see the numbers on your screen now, but I wouldn't be planning to hook up a caravan and go for a big road trip in this one. All right, let's go drive it and I'll show you what it's like. Okay, so what's it like to drive? Well, very different to the existing ASX is the short way to describe what it's like, because that's exactly what it is. It's a completely different experience because it's a completely different car. It doesn't have any carryover attributes apart from the fact that it's relatively compact, and that's about it, because this is a very unbelievably different experience. And a better one in a lot of ways. Partly that's down to the fact that it does have the Renault DNA, and Renault makes some really great small cars. It's like their professional area is little cars and has been for years. And this one is a nice little car to drive in most situations. Now, there are some things that aren't great and will take some getting used to. First and foremost, let's talk about this dual clutch automatic transmission and the engine. So it does have, well, a good amount of urge from a standstill, but it's just getting all the power to combobulate as you would expect. That might be a bit of a thing to get used to, because the dual clutch auto does have a little bit of lag, so does the turbo engine, and at times you might just find that it's maybe not as quick to react as you might be hoping. But also, when it all comes together, it can come together in a big shove, and that can mean that at the front axle you've just got a bit of happening. So yeah, that's my best approximation of what those tires are doing when everything comes together, because it can feel like it's tugging the wheel to one side or another. That's torque steer, and yeah, it can struggle to get all the power down all at once. But 270 newton meters, I'm not surprised. But there are multiple drive modes, and you can put it into eco mode, and that will dull things down a little bit in terms of the engine and transmission urgency. But if you do want to explore the potential a little bit more, you've got sport mode, and it is very zesty, this engine, for that sort of drive mode, and it also changes the instrument cluster to look a bit more fun as well. And that really does add to the personality of this car. I'll put it back into the normal drive mode because, well, I don't need it to feel sporty and accelerate sportily, because it already accelerates pretty well. That's one thing about this powertrain, although it might have some quibbles when it comes to low speed driving. When you do need to really get on it, it's got a good amount of grunt. As I said, I sort of feel like it's pulling the steering wheel around a little bit in my hands, but it's urgent enough, and certainly enough grunt for a little car like this. Now, let's talk about the transmission at speed. It's smart, it's logical, it picks the right gears, but if you want to, you've got paddle shifters, so you can take matters into your own hands instead. You don't really need to, in my experience in this car today outside Melbourne. I think it's pretty acceptable in terms of the way that it all comes together. It's just that you have to get over the low speed situations, and look, for some drivers it might be harder than others. If you're the sort of person who's used to just mashing the throttle when you're at a standstill and just getting a normally aspirated engine with a standard auto gearbox to just do what you want it to, this probably won't be the right car for you, because it does take a little bit more consideration in terms of the driving, so just keep that in mind. But in the other aspects that you need to know about, well, the ride comfort is another thing that might not be for everyone's taste, because Euro cars tend to have a bit more of a firmer feel to them. This one is not as wobbly feeling as the existing ASX, and maybe not as forgiving over lumps and bumps in the surface either. So just be mindful, the ride is on the firm side, even though it's got pretty chubby 18-inch wheel and tyre package on this higher grade version. I think that if you don't like a firmer feeling ride, you might not necessarily like the way that this car makes you feel as a driver or a passenger. And then there's the steering, which I think is actually really quite good. It's fun. This is one of the things that Renault has perfected over the years, is the way that it makes its cars feel, from these sorts of small SUVs through to much bigger vehicles. The steering is light but accurate. It's got good directness. It's easy to manage at lower speeds, and it's great for parking and that sort of thing as well. Now, speaking of lower speeds, there's some things that I've noticed today. The reversing camera, it's pretty bad quality, and it's really bad in mixed light situations. So if you are reversing from light into shade, it might be very difficult to see what's going on there. The camera stuff is a problem if you aren't a confident parker, but if you know what you're doing, you should be fine. And in the high grade versions, you get the surround parking sensors as well, which will help you out if that's what you need. But the visibility from the driver's seat, not too bad. The mirrors are decent, and you've got a good auto dimming rearview mirror in this one, so that's nice too. So look, I think from the driving perspective, it is certainly a better ASX than ever before in a lot of ways, but maybe not as simple as the old ASX in the ways that might matter to some buyers. So yeah, if you're interested in it, go for a test drive, see if you can live with it or not. Another great thing with the safety systems in this car is that, well, if you don't like them, as I said, you can personalize things and just quickly hit that button each time you get back in, but they aren't too interventional anyway. So there's no driver monitoring camera, which is a big thumbs up in my opinion. And there's also a speed sign recognition system, but it doesn't beep and bong at you. So no bing bong bullshit in this car. And that makes it more livable, more likable, in fact, more lovable than some of the others out there. All right, what about efficiency? So the official combined cycle fuel consumption number is on your screen now. Now that's for all versions of the new ASX because they all have the same powertrain. And that is also significantly better than the previous ASX with the 2-litre engine. It's about 16% better in terms of the fuel consumption. It's also got better emissions as part of the new wave of SUVs and products coming into the market that have to meet stricter emissions regulations. So if that matters to you, this might be a better choice. But what about real world fuel consumption? Well, on your screen, you'll see what I've seen on my test drive outside Melbourne for this very short drive. And I think that that's probably what you can expect to see across a mix of driving, because I've done that today. I've done urban, I've done freeway, I've done highway, I've done a bit of spirited driving as well. And look, I do think that if you are after a relatively fuel efficient small SUV, this one will probably do the job. But as I said in the alternative section earlier on, there are some others out there with hybrid tech for less money that will do an even better job if fuel consumption is the name of the game for you. But a couple of things that might actually help sway your decision this way: it's got a big fuel tank, and despite the fact that it's got a turbo petrol engine, it can run on regular unleaded petrol, so you don't have to fill it up with the premium juice. That's a plus. This car hasn't been tested by ANCAP just yet, but the Euro NCAP rating for the Renault Captur that it's based on was 4 stars, and Mitsubishi Australia has basically told me that they don't expect that this will score any more than that if it's put through the ANCAP rigmarole. Now, the entry-level version is a bit more basic when it comes to the standard spec and tech on offer. There's autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian and cyclist detection. You've got lane departure warning and emergency lane keeping assistance, but it comes with standard cruise control with a speed limiter, and it also comes with rear parking sensors only and a reversing camera only as well. And the reversing camera, it's the standard fit across all grades. You can't get any version of this car with a surround view camera, but the higher grade versions do come with front and side parking sensors as well, and they also come with a number of other features beyond that base model grade. So they come with adaptive cruise control, they've got a speed sign recognition system that can do intelligent cruise control for you as well, and there's a few other features like blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert, which you don't get in the base grade. It's a really strange spec, and I don't think they're going to sell a number of these to fleet customers, so it's really quite peculiar that the base grade misses out on so many features. That's my take anyway. Another feature it misses out on compared to some of the rivals is a front center airbag, and that's part of the reason it only scored 4 stars in Euro NCAP. There's 6 airbags fitted to this ASX, dual front, front side and curtain coverage for both rows of window seats. So look, I don't know, you tell me what you think about the safety stuff, because I think that even though it is very livable in terms of the safety tech, the safety spec might not be good enough for some customers. Buy a Mitsubishi and you get a 10-year warranty, you might be thinking. Well, not necessarily. The standard warranty is 5 years and 100,000 kilometers, but if you service with the brand, you will get up to 10 years and 200,000 Ks of warranty. But you have to service with Mitsubishi. If you don't live near a Mitsubishi dealership, that might be a pain. Keep in mind though, that the service intervals are every 12 months and 15,000 Ks, which is good for a small turbo SUV like this. But the service costs, you can make your own mind up about them. The average cost over the cap price plan is on your screen now. And yes, you do need to service with Mitsubishi again to get that warranty, but also to get roadside assistance. And the details of the roadside assistance plan are on your screen now. So look, is there too much reading the disclaimer for this warranty program? Or are you gonna do the servicing with Mitsubishi anyway and just enjoy the perks of that? Let me know what you reckon. There's lots of things I really like about this new Mitsubishi ASX, but plenty that I think could be improved. The price is the first one. It is too expensive for this market segment. Even though it is a European SUV dressed up as a Japanese one, it might be hard to get over the asking price increase compared to the previous one and compared to its rivals, because in the market, it's pretty expensive. So what do you think? Have your say in the comments section. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing, and I'll see you when I see you.